Hey, what's up, everybody? This is 24 Chambers of Film. I'm Steven, and today I'm going to be giving you a movie review on the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Trap, starring Josh Hartnett. Okay, so Trap, let's get into this. Okay, so I had pretty moderate expectations, moderate to high, I would say. I'm a big M Night fan for the most part. The only ones that I'm not crazy about, the only two films that I haven't seen, or three films that I haven't seen. I haven't seen The Last Airbender. I haven't seen Pray with Anger, which was his first film, and I haven't seen what was that? The one with Rosie O'Donnell. I think it's called Wide Awake. Okay, so those are the only three that I have not seen of M. Night's films: Pray with Anger, Wide Awake, and The Last Airbender. Other than that, I've seen all his films and I enjoy most of them. I pretty much enjoy all of them. I still feel like his stronger films are in the earlier part of his career, but I enjoyed Old, I enjoyed Knock at the Cabin, and I enjoyed, Glass, Split, all those, The Visit. Like those have been good films in my opinion. And Trap falls in there in my opinion. Trap is a good movie that could have been more, in my opinion. It could have been great, but it misses that opportunity to be great because of overstaying its welcome, in my opinion. So, just before I move on in this review, if you haven't seen Trap, go watch it, come back, and then watch this review because there's going to be spoilers ahead. So, let me get into this. So, all right. So, Trap follows Cooper, played by Josh Hartnett, and his daughter. He's taking his daughter to a Lady Raven concert. His daughter's Riley, played by Ariel Donoghue. And they seem like a great father-daughter combo. Seem like they have a strong relationship. He's taking her to this concert. They got good floor seats, and Cooper starts noticing a very strong police presence more and more as they get into the concert. Basically, as you see in the trailer, it is revealed to him that there's a trap being laid out for the serial killer known as the Butcher, which is him, which is Cooper. And he gets this information by an employee named Jamie. And yeah, so the movie is him trying to get out of this concert without being interrogated or searched because he doesn't want to get caught, obviously. So that's the premise of Trap. Very cool premise. And M. Night almost lands this premise, but it feels one of the issues that I have with this movie. I'm going to talk. Well, let me get into the positives. The positives are Josh Hartnett is amazing in this movie. Stellar performance. You are with him. You are rooting for him, even though you know he's this terrible human being. He's a killer. He's so charming that you're not necessarily rooting for him, but you're on this ride with his journey to elude the cops. And if he gets away, you're not like going to be necessarily dissatisfied. But he's not a great human being. He's a terrible person that is putting up this facade as a nice go-lucky dad, which he's obviously not. But Josh Hartnett plays it with such complexity in his emoting, his delivery of the lines. He elevates everything from the script, in my opinion. Just the way his performance is. Like M. Night made a great choice in casting him. I just had a grin most of the time watching this movie, watching him perform, because it seemed like he was having a blast playing Cooper, and he delivered. Great performance. Probably going to be one of my favorite performances of the whole year, most likely. It's that good, in my opinion. He carries the movie for sure. That, and then also the visuals, the shot compositions and camera techniques by M. Night and his cinematographer, which he's a Thailand cinematographer. He did Call Me By Your Name. He did Challengers, Suspiria. His name is Somabu Muktipram. I probably didn't pronounce that correctly, but that's his name. He's a great cinematographer from those films that I've seen. Beautifully shot on 35 millimeter. Looks so good. I mean, the visuals are just stunning in this movie. They really, and M. Night's always been great at this. One of the things that I never complain in M. Night's movies, After Earth is the weakest in this department that I've seen. But his visual language, his visual aesthetic, his style is very engaging, very captivating, very stimulating for me. He knows how to move the camera to create these interesting shots. It's just great. He has great composition. He has a great eye for composition, and Trap is no different. It's really well shot, really well lit. They really create this concert. You feel like you're in an actual concert. Yes, it was definitely conceived to promote his daughter, who plays Lady Raven, which is her name is Saleka Shyamalan, and she's great. I mean, she's a great singer. She wrote all the original music in this movie, like songs and stuff, and she performed it beautifully. You believed her as this pop star. She did a great thing. Great job with all this music material that she had to do for this movie. And the songs, some of the songs are really catchy. You know, pop is like not one of my favorite genres in music, but they felt like genuine pop songs that could be hits, you know, in my opinion. So it was a great coming out party for her and her music, and I think it's very cool that M Night did that for her, and you know, used his you know, his filmmaking fame to do something with her, collaborate with her. And you know, she put in the work. She didn't just like, it wasn't just like a full, yes, it's definitely nepotism to the max, but there's a endearing quality to it, in my opinion. And M Night, you know, he loves his family. He's a family guy, and you know, he definitely, you know, is trying to help his family. You know, and I can respect that. You know, and at least he made her do the work. She did the process. She also acts in this movie, which she's not terrible. You know, she's definitely green, but I didn't think she was terrible in her acting performance. I think she does good where it's passable and it doesn't ruin the movie, in my opinion. But yeah, uh, those things were the best elements, and then the humor in the movie. It was a lot funnier than I was expecting. It felt intentional too, for the most part. But yeah, Josh Hartnett, and just seeing his reaction to stuff and the switch in his eyes, and then that character of Jamie, the employee who reveals to him that the butcher is at the concert and is gonna, you know, they're said the cops are here to, the FBI's here to, you know, setting a trap for him. All that stuff, great chemistry between them, like very good. The daughter, like I said, his daughter Riley is very, feels like a teenager, feels like someone that's a fan of this type of music. You know, definitely feels like, I think he pitched the movie as M Night pitched the movie as Silence of the Lambs meets Taylor Swift. So I think it totally delivers on that sense in a way, for most of it, I think. And yeah, so I think where it misses the mark on becoming great is the third act. The third act is where it struggles. It struggles to, first of all, it has, feels like it has too many endings. That's the issue, okay? Also, they leave the concert. You're probably about like a little bit over an hour in the concert, which all that stuff is great. All works. I'm all on board, all that stuff. I really don't have any issues. Maybe a little less music concert stuff and more Josh Hartnett trying to, you know, get out and you know, manipulate the situation for his benefit. But overall, I, you know, that's a nitpick. Overall, you know, there was enough of it at the end of the day that didn't really take away from the experience for me. Yeah, that stuff is great. There's a point in the movie at the end where he finally hits a wall and he's like, fuck, because he can't get out of this concert without being interrogated, you know? And there's this key detail. At one point, he steals a walkie of one of the police officers. So, and he puts it on from time to time so he can hear what they're saying over the walkies to each other. And there's a FBI profiler there, and she's kind of feels like Dr. Loomis from Halloween, and she's there, and you know, he's getting information on what they're saying, um, and they know that he has a tattoo on his wrist, maybe a tattoo on his wrist or something like that. So that's one thing that is like, if they interrogate him, they're gonna definitely notice that most likely, and that's gonna be probably big problems for him. So he's just trying to figure out how to get out of this concert without having to be interrogated or questioned by the police. So basically, he ends up getting making up a lie about his daughter that she has beat cancer and all that stuff. And Lady Raven always does this thing at the concert where she picks up a fan to come up there and dance with them. So he talks to somebody part of the crew that he notices like wearing Lady Raven gear, and that's like, you know, kind of standing by around the concert. Ends up being Lady Raven's uncle, played by M. Night Shyamalan, which is funny. And he tells that sob story to him, and they end up coming back like, hey, you want to be the girl that goes and dance and all that stuff. So yeah, so he ends up getting backstage because that's not where the police presence is too heavy because they know he's at the concert, like as a fan. So he does that. He ends up getting out there and all that stuff. And then at the end, when they're supposed to talk to Lady Raven, um, after the whole concert has ended, um, he notices that he's still gonna have to get checked by the police, before he leaves, and he does not want to do that. So he ends up pulling, in the trailer, you see that he has a phone where he has a victim currently, somewhere currently kidnapped, stuck in a room, chained to a room, and all that stuff. So he says like, hey, Lady Raven, can I talk to you about, because they let her know about that she beat cancer, supposedly. So he's like, can I talk to you about her situation? So he goes in there. This is a great moment actually in the movie. And Josh Hartnett, Cooper, he tells Lady Raven like, hey, yeah, he talks about carbon monoxide, how it works, and she's like confused, like, why are you telling me this? He shows him the victim that he has, and it's like, yeah, he's gonna die if you don't get me out of here and I don't get interrogated. We're gonna go in your limo, or I'm gonna kill this. I'm gonna kill this guy and put in the code that I can control through my phone, and it's gonna release the carbon monoxide, and he's gonna, die from it. So he puts Lady Raven in a tough situation. They end up going to the limo, all that stuff. He gets away, and then Lady Raven becomes essentially a real hero in this movie, which is, I think, a lot of people will have issues with that. She actually becomes um, a very prominent character in this movie, because she really saves the day, and that just adds more to the nepotism of making, besides the music, making her daughter like the hero of the movie. Now, it didn't bother me too much. I think it kind of that scene. They end up going to the house because Lady Raven is trying to figure out how to catch this guy. She's in on this whole trap thing with the FBI, and she's trying to figure out, how she's going to be able to, get away, but also catch this guy. She ends up like offering to Riley, his daughter, like, hey, let me go see your house. Let me go, meet your family. So she's freaking out, of course. So Cooper has to kind of go with it, even though he hates the idea. They go to the house. She meets his wife and his younger son. His wife's played by Allison Pill, and they go in there. They meet. They're talking, and she's a little off. Everything's a little off, and basically, she reveals to the family, hey, yeah, actually, this concert was also a trap for this serial killer, the Butcher. Have you guys heard of him? The wife's like, yeah, I've heard of him. So and then you know she ends up playing a song. Let me play a song for the piano as Josh Hartnett is trying to kick her out, because I was like, okay, you're trying to, like, push the line here, cross the line. So, but she's like, oh, let me play a song on your piano. And then of course his daughter wants, yeah, let's do it. And the wife is like, yeah, let's listen to you play on our piano. So she's playing music on the piano. The daughter leaves her phone on the seat next to the piano because she calls her up to, come sit with me as I play. And then Josh Hartnett's like recording, but really he has the device to put in the code to kill the victim that he has currently. As she's playing, she at some point she stops, she snatches Josh Hartnett's phone and takes Riley's phone that was on the bench that they were sitting on. It goes and locks herself in a room. I think it's a bathroom, downstairs bathroom. Josh Hartnett blows his cover. He starts freaking out, and his family's like, "What the hell's going on with you? Why are you acting like this?" All that stuff. She goes live on TikTok or something, live on Instagram. She's very famous, so people are gonna be on there and stuff. Before she does that, she talks to the guy on Josh Hartnett's phone, the victim, and do you know any details? He gives her some details that he maybe saw that could, there's a blue door, there's like a broken statue or something like that. Because she's like, okay, so she goes live. She tells her fans like, hey, does anybody know this? This is not a joke, whatever, blah blah blah. I'm here. The butcher's after me. Like, we need to get this victim out, or something like that. She gives those details. It's in Philadelphia, all this stuff. So she starts, she puts that out there, and people are searching and looking, all that stuff. So if you know this, go to this house and get this guy, rescue this guy, is basically what she's saying. Josh Hartnett gets in the room finally after putting his family away and locking them in a room, I guess. And or not, I guess he locks them away in a room, but you don't see it, so you hear the commotion. It's all from Lady Raven's perspective. He comes in, and Josh Hartnett does a great job of just staying calm, even when he's under stress. He hides it, well, but you could see it in his eyes that he's stressed, but he still doesn't like fully lose his shit. So he gets all that stuff back, and yeah, uh, it basically becomes this whole thing where the movie should have ended at this spot, and then it doesn't end. It keeps going on. Okay, so he ends up essentially all this stuff happens. His family, he ends up like basically like conceding. Cops are on their way. Cops have been called. And then he's in the house. His family's outside. Lady Raven's outside with the limo driver and all that stuff. He's in this house. The cops are coming. They surround his house, and yeah, he's in there, and you think it's basically he's gonna basically, I don't know, kill himself or go out shooting, suicide by police, whatnot. No, he has a trap door. He has a secret trap door, and it kind of makes sense for his character. He's ahead of the cops the whole time, essentially in the movie. There's a lot of conveniences, even in the concert stuff, but you're with it the whole time. You're with it. But then now, when this happens at this point in the movie, in the third act, then it starts, becoming a little too much, in my opinion. He ends up escaping and all that stuff, and then you get like these multiple, like two endings where he's driving. You think he's gonna get caught, and then he doesn't get caught, and then he ends up someplace else and he's not going to get, and then he's it just goes on too long. It's 20 minutes too long, in my opinion. It should have ended right there at the house, where the cops are surrounding him. Instead it goes on 20 minutes longer to get like, kind of feels like it's going to end, and then it doesn't end, and it feels like it's going to end, and then it doesn't, and then finally it ends. But then what you get is just something like unnecessarily stretched, and it could have been way more satisfying if it would have ended in that first time when you thought it was going to end. Actually, it would have been better, in my opinion, for it to end when it was at the concert. I don't think they ever should have left the concert. Maybe gone outside the concert a little bit, but never should have gone back to Cooper's house. I think it all should have ended at the concert. And I'll tell you at the end what I feel like the ending should have been or what it could have been. But yeah, let's get into the acting, the performances. All the performances, I had no real issues with it. M. Night's daughter, Saleka, she's green, obviously, but she wasn't terrible in my opinion. She wasn't, great, but she wasn't bad. She's probably one of the weaker ones, but she still was able to deliver some really strong moments. And then obviously Josh Hartnett is the standout. He is the movie. He's carrying this whole movie. I mean, he is amazing in it. Stellar performance. You can't say anything wrong. He really makes the dialogue sing, and his performance, you see it on his face when he's not talking. He's just very interesting to watch throughout this whole movie, and I was loving it. His daughter Riley was really great. Like I said, she really did good. Ariel Donoghue, she was great, amazing. I see big things for her in the future, acting wise, if she continues. Alison Pill did a good job for her role. I feel like I'll get into it later, but yeah, she did good with her role. And then Haley Mills, she's the original. She's on Parent Trap, the original one. She plays the Dr. Loomis type. She plays Dr. Josephine Grant. She's the FBI profiler. She's really good, and you could tell she gets under Cooper's skin throughout the movie because he's listening into the radio conversation. Jamie, the guy, the employee who gives the information to Josh Hartnett, he's really good. He's really funny. He brings a lot of levity to the film. And yeah, he has a great little scene at the end too that cracked me up. Yeah. So Jonathan Langdon, he was good. I think he's gonna get some more roles for sure. He seems like a very, nice guy. It's what I get and you forgive him for being so so open to Cooper, like, why are you telling him this stuff? They clearly told you not to tell people this, but you kind of forgive him for it. He's just like a likable looking guy, in my opinion. Kid Cudi has a little cameo. He plays one of the performers, called The Thinker. Russ, I know he's kind of famous more. He got famous through TikTok rapping, he plays this guy Parker Wayne that also performs at the concert. But yeah, it was the performances, no real issues. Like I said, they all did a great job for the most part. And but yeah, it's Josh Hartnett's movie. He's worth the price of admission alone to see this movie, and I do recommend you see this movie for sure. But yeah, he's one of the main reasons that you will want to watch this movie, and you will be entertained because of him, just because how good he is in the movie for sure. Yeah, so no issues with the acting. It was great for the most part. Now, the filmmaking is another positive in this movie. The filmmaking was done so well by M. Night, his cinematographer. I mean, they really filmed this thing beautifully. Really great angles, really creative shots. Sometimes subtle movements. You know, you don't really notice them, but it's just sometimes things that are more jarring, but in a positive way. It just he really knows how to frame a shot. Really great composition. I really don't have it. The music, the sound design, everything was sounded great. You know, it just really worked well. Um, yeah, I just had no real issues with that those elements. Production of the concert was really well done. It looked legit as hell. It looked like they had that many extras there to watch this concert. I mean, apparently they put on a real concert. So yeah, it really worked, and it really immersed you in that type of that world, you know. And it delivered. It felt like you were actually there at a concert. It felt like a concert movie and a thriller at the same time, you know. So they definitely succeeded in that big time. And yeah, M Night's just one of the best visual storytellers in my opinion. He's so good. Like I said, the weakest one is After Earth, and even then, there's still some moments. But that movie felt like a director for hire type job for him. And I haven't seen Last Airbender, so I can't really speak on that. But everything else, visually, he always delivers. I'm never disappointed in his visual aesthetics. Like I said, M Night's one of the best in that, in my opinion. And when it comes to like my favorite scenes, um, there's quite a few. A lot of them are pretty much anything with Josh Hartnett is my favorite scene. I love it when they're in the back room because he comes back to get a shirt for his daughter by that employee Jamie who tells him all the stuff about the butcher, and they go in the back and he's getting them more shirts that he's like, hey, I'm gonna get you another shirt. Just meet me back in 10 minutes. Comes back, they go back there, and he gives Josh Hartnett the shirt, and it is just a great moment of just interaction between them two that I really enjoyed. I really like when Josh Hartnett goes into a room full of cops as they're kind of breaking down stuff of who they're looking for, and he has like an employee. He steals Jamie's employee, badge to get into places. So he's in there back, like in back of the arena and stuff, like where all the cops are and stuff. And he goes in there and he plays it so beautifully. Josh Hartnett, he's just so good at getting away with it. There's a lot of conveniences for him, but he plays it good with it. And he has such a smooth quality when it comes to, putting that facade, and it works beautifully, in my opinion. Um, there's moments in the end that I really liked. So there's a whole thing with his character. He's trying to keep his two lives separate, his serial killer life and his suburban, family man life. And they end up colliding because of this situation. Um, and at the end of the movie, there's just a great moment where he comes back and it's revealed that the wife is the one who tipped off the police. She set Josh Hartnett up with the trap anonymously. She made a phone call. She was suspecting that he was cheating, but then she ended up kind of now then suspecting that he might be this killer. And she loves him, of course, and her dilemma is that I don't think she wanted to be. I know a lot of people will probably get frustrated with this, like, hey, why didn't you fucking just tell the cops that he's the killer, that you think he's the killer, so he gets interrogated? No, she didn't want to be, I guess, overtly a snitch. She wanted to, so she kind of leaves the hint, leaves a piece of the ticket that he was going to be at the concert, and she sets him up and then makes a phone call, all that stuff, that she found all this stuff, and then the police, made their plan to do this trap. He kind of puts it together, and he comes back after the second time he gets away. This is like when he ends up like there. Yeah, he ends up coming back to the house, because he figures out that his wife is the one that probably set him up for the trap. But before that, he ended up like stealing the limo. When they didn't know he had a trap door to escape from the neighbor's side, and then he ends up getting, knocking out one of the SWAT guys and putting on his outfit, and then he takes out the limo driver, like, hey, I'm going to take over, and the limo driver was okay, and he gets out and he gets in and he drives Saleka, Lady Raven, out, and he's gonna like kill her, but like, and then he ends up getting stopped by a bunch of fans. She's able to like kind of like lower the window. She's handcuffed, and then she tells them like, "Hey, help, help!" And they're all confused, so they don't move. He ends up like getting some clothes that's on in the passenger seat that's like stuff from the show. Takes off the SWAT outfit and puts that on, and then escapes out with the crowd when the cops show up, which is very like, okay, now you're stretching like believability right here. And it's like very frustrating because it's like he's fucking Houdini, you know what I mean? You're only with it because Josh Hartnett is fucking awesome in this movie, but it's like very stretching, believability, and logic and all that stuff. Like, come on, it's a little too much at this point. Anyways, he ends up back at the house and he confronts Allison Pill, his wife, Rachel, and he pretty much like they end up having pie, before because he's like, we're gonna do a murder. He's gonna kill her and then kill himself. But she convinces him, let's have Riley's pie, that she made or something like that. Made for I don't know what exactly was it, but they had a pie. So she makes the pie. He goes to sit down and she brings a piece of him. He's like, I'm gonna eat this in 5 bites, and then I'm gonna do my thing. But he ends up just expressing how angry he is at her, how angry he's at his wife, for doing this because he realized that he actually loves his kids and that he's not going to be able to see them grow up, and that she's taking that away from him. So he comes with this revelation that he actually does care for his kids, that he's not just he's not just a killer that doesn't care. He actually has emotions for his daughter, which is kind of a beautiful moment in the scene. It's just sad that it's sprinkled into a mess of a third act, which was frustrating as fuck. But nevertheless, Josh Hartnett performance is so goddamn good. Like even in the mess, he's still doing a lot of great things. And then there's a thing where she ends up poisoning the cake. She ends up putting some of the stuff on the cake, like something that he puts to like knock out his victims. He left his bag in his car. She took it, she set it up, and there's the cops are waiting outside. Essentially, he starts seeing he has like mommy issues. He ends up seeing his mom in the doorway as he's like starting to like lose motor skills and stuff like that. It's actually the FBI or the profiler that's pretending to be his mom or talking like his mom as he's like kind of losing it, mentally. And then there's a whole thing where he gets tasered and captured and all that stuff. Anyways, yeah, so that ends up happening. So that was one of my favorite moments. I want to say it's a scene that I like, but the moment in there where he has that revelation of that he loves his kids, is beautiful. And then also when he confronts Lady Raven at the end, like, hey, tells her about carbon monoxide, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy if you don't get me out of here. That moment was very tense, very great. I fucking love that moment, just the way it was done. And Josh Hartnett's performance was great. And Saleka's performance was really great in that scene. My rating. Let's get into my rating. So my rating for this film is it's a difficult. Here's the thing. There's a lot of rewatchability in this movie for me. Like I said, the filmmaking, the acting, Josh Hartnett alone, the whole concert. First hour of the movie is really strong. The movie's an hour and 45 minutes. I think it should have been an hour and 25 minutes. I think it would have benefited from that trim, like 20 minutes out of it, maybe even an hour and 20 minutes. It really that I think it should have all stayed in the concert and shouldn't have left the concert personally. And I'll give you what I think the ending should have been. But my rating is a 7.1 out of 10. Definitely worth watching. Like I said, Shyamalan's filmmaking, execution, and aesthetic, and craftsmanship, and Josh Hartnett's performance are worth the price of admission. And just the production. It's very moving. It moves good. M. Night has never had pacing issues, in my opinion, in his films. He's very good at keeping the story moving. But yeah, okay. So that's my rating, 7.1. Go watch this movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie, but it could have been great. And unfortunately, it didn't reach that height, in my opinion. But yeah, let me just say what I think the ending should have been. So if you've seen this movie, obviously you're gonna know. But if you haven't, obviously you shouldn't be watching this unless you want to be spoiled. But yeah, so the ending when I think it should have ended at the concert. What would have been a doper ending, in my opinion. I'm going to give you two versions because, when Cooper, goes to talk privately to Lady Raven in her dressing room, he reveals that he's got the victim tied up and all that stuff. He says like, I'm going to kill him if you don't get me out of here without having to be interrogated. I'm going to go in your limo with you and my daughter. We're going to go in the limo and you guys are going to drop us off, somewhere. It would have been great if this would have made Lady Raven a more interesting character if she would have been like, okay, and gone with it. And then when they get out of the room, she says, you know what, fuck it. Like she thinks like basically sacrifice this one guy to save a bunch of people. Yes, it's morally fucked up, but it would have made it more interesting. And she just, you know, says he's the butcher as they're walking towards the police. He's the butcher. They go after him, they grab him, they take him down. Maybe Josh Hartnett is able to get off the carbon monoxide to kill the guy. Maybe not. It's a risk, you know. It's a worthy risk, in my opinion. It would have been interesting if that would have been more satisfying to me. The movie ended that way, and you could have added Josh Hartnett, you know, fighting back, doing something, or maybe ends up like you know getting one of the guns of the SWAT guys or getting killed by the police instead of being captured. Basically, at the end of the movie and of the actual movie, he ends up getting captured. He ends up also uncuffing himself that's through like a tire tread that he ends up stealing because he's like adjusting a bike. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but he gets put in the back of the police car, and then he ends up getting you know, unpicking the locks and getting uncuffed while he's in the back of the police car getting taken to you know to prison. Um, uh, but he gives a great moment where he's like laughing and looking straight at the camera. It's fucking great. Like that moment is great. I'm just like, I wish everything around it made more sense and was less messy and less frustrating. But that would have been better if it ended like that at the concert. Personally, it would have been interesting. His daughter sees him get murdered or get you know put out or get exposed that he's the butcher and all that stuff. That would have been way better in my opinion, and it would have like saved so much time. You know, it would have just felt right in my opinion. Okay, now that he wanted to take it to the house and have all that stuff with his daughter, Lady Raven, and having some, you know, to do more acting and stuff like that. Okay, it should have ended when they got to the house and all that stuff happened. Like I told you, she goes to the bathroom, steals his phone, all that stuff. The cops surround his house. He should have fucking made a bomb. Like he should have been like pulled out like a house-made bomb that he has, like almost like a suicide thing if he ever got caught. Set it up in the house at the time, like put a little time, you know, get it going, detonate it basically for whatever, you know, 10 minutes, 15, 20, whatever the fuck. He gets a gun out, you know, opens the door where they can see him and he offs himself so cops can see him shoot himself. He dies. The cops will go in the house and start kind of investigating. And then the timer, you know, the profiler should find the bomb or something like that. And she, you know, at least he gets back at the profiler and she's like, oh, fuck, it blows up the house. At least, you know, he gets some of the cops, specifically the profiler, which is the one that's kind of leading the whole trap sting operation. So that would have been a way better ending, in my opinion, and way more satisfying. And it would have taken this movie to great, in my opinion. Either of those two endings could have took this movie to greatness if it would have delivered on that aspect. That's the other thing. Nobody dies in this fucking movie, which is very frustrating. Like I feel Josh Hartnett should have died in this movie. You know, it leaves you to the option like, is there a sequel or something like that? I hope not. It doesn't need a sequel. Like I said, I like the moment at the end where he's laughing after he uncuffs himself, but it's just like he should have died. He should have died. It would have made the movie better, and it's a one-off. It doesn't need a sequel. But yeah, that's my review of Trap. Like I said, M. Night, he's just, you know, he's great at concepts, great at visual directing. You know, his scripts can be, you know, a little spotty at times and stuff like that. And he almost had it there. That first hour is really strong. I really enjoy it. I would rewatch that all day. You know, it's once they leave the concert, then that's when I start having the issues with the movie, and it kind of falls flat on its face, in my opinion. It doesn't work completely, but there are sprinkled moments in there that are great, which is Josh Hartnett, you know, just showing how talented of an actor he is, that he can still keep you reeled in those moments that, you know, where it's like, this is absurd. That's what's going on right now in this movie. You know, like this is stretching my, you know, this is stretching believability, you know? Anyways, go watch Trap, make your own opinion on it. Let me know what you think of it on the comments. Let me know what's your favorite M. Night movie. If you like Trap, if you didn't like Trap, why you liked it, why you didn't like it. Let me know what you know, if you think you agree with me or disagree with me. But yeah, go watch Trap. It's a good time. You'll have fun, at least for the most part. But yeah, there's no twists either. You know, I didn't mention that. I figured I already mentioned in the in the spoilers, but don't be expecting no crazy twists, you know, and shit like that. I know I was initially expecting, is Haley Joel Osment the one who kind of tipped them off or something like that is going to be in this movie connected to the Sixth Sense? You know, I like that M Night's not that's trying. M Night's just doing kind of straightforward stuff and getting away from the whole, which is something that held him back. Everyone was expecting a twist, at the end of the movies. You don't need that. He doesn't need that. I think he's a great filmmaker overall. But yeah, I think M Night, he's getting there. He's gonna get. I know he's gonna have a really fucking great film where I have like pretty much no issues with it. Split was the last one where I really had no issues with his film. In Glass, I really like Glass. Honestly, I have very little issues with Glass. So Glass and Split was the last time, but Split's definitely better than Glass. But yeah, he's gonna get there. I know he is. He's gonna find it. But this Trap, good movie. Go check it out. Solid. I think you'll have a good time. But yeah, this is 24 Chambers of Film. Like and subscribe. We got more content coming your way, guys. So stay tuned.